Hi, how you doing today? This is Rich here on behalf of Rich TV Live with our very special guest, long-term guest. Been a long time since we've talked. How you doing, Greg?
I'm quite fine, Rich. And yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. We have not spoken for a really long time, and it's interesting to get you back because you made a lot of predictions, and you were correct on pretty much all of them. You said that cannabis stocks would go down. At the time, the markets were really hot. Nobody could predict that they were going to go down. You predicted they would go down, and badly, and you were 100% correct.
Well, you got to use the Spaceballs reference. What's like our friend Elon Musk does. We were in plaid, and even now, we've just dropped below ludicrous speed on these pot stocks. The market was only a $35 billion market if everybody lined up to buy their pot in one place. So yeah, no, it was a mania, and when it was a huge bubble. And what I made reference to is time and time again. And I don't have the chart with me today, but you can set your clock by it. You look at this thing called you use time machine. You can go back in time. It's called a chart, and you can see every time one of these mania hits. Like the last one would have been the dot com era, and when that bubble burst, resource stocks just ripped. When the market crashed on the home loan affair, uh, that was yet another bubble, and right after that, the resource sector just roared. And here we have two bubbles that have burst, not one but two: the crypto boondoggle and the ganja's up in smoke. So these are two huge bubbles, and what it does is a harbinger. It's time to, if you look at these charts back into the '70s, different things like the Gulf oil crisis, the Gulf War crisis, all these bubbles that burst, and it was just like the starting gun, like a 21 gun salute start for the resource sector. Now it doesn't all start in one day, but it's starting to happen right now. We've seen some amazing moves in the gold stocks. Gold is, again, a safe haven. The Americans are printing money like they always have, maybe more than ever before. So the value of gold stayed, at least it's someplace safe to hold your money. And as on the other side of the resource sector, you've got the base metals who have been orphaned for a better part of since 2010. And this is another cycle you can see on the charts where back in, say, 2007, at the end of 2007, 2008, and I'll use nickel as an example. At the end of 2000, 2007, 2008, that nobody gave a dingle's cuss over the base metals, especially nickel. They were, again, orphaned. So for the years leading up to the end of 2007, there was no money put into base metals to explore for more nickel. Now, nickel at the end of 2007, and we're in the same situation right now. They're 3-month contracts. October ends in December. So right back then, the warehouses around the world, LME has over 50 warehouses. The warehouses were almost empty. Now, this is an intangible situation. It's like a lot of companies that buy nickel buy right from a miner, and it's the warehouses is your last resort if you need nickel. So this is what happened at the end of 2007. Nickel was like six or so dollars a ton, a ton, and what happened was when the contract concluded in the end of 2000, December contract ended in 2007 with, well, let's just say the LME traders are masters at masking situations. And the situation was, the emperor didn't have any clothes. There was no nickel in the warehouse. We're trading air here. So in the first contract, the January, February, March contract of 2008, nickel went to $24.
Wow.
This happened again in 2012. And in 2012, nickel was trading around $8-9, and the warehouse dropped below 100,000 tons. It went to $12. And I will show you a series of charts in regards to how what I've got to share with you today correlates with this bubble bust situation. And if somebody just watches this one trend, they can make tons of dough. we don't have that kind of trend for the pot industry, other than the model of boom and bust, and which is, it's going to be that way. We're going to go into a huge resource section, huge resource move coming up very shortly. And right now we're getting a lot of tax loss selling on the TSX venture. It seems to have already finished up in November, and here we are in December, and the index is actually edging up. So I think we're going to have a huge turnaround in the next couple of weeks as we go into the new year. Nickel is, again, we're repeating where we were we're not in 2012 where the warehouse dropped below 100,000 tons. We're back in 2007 where there was less than 50,000 tons. That's how much nickel's in the warehouse now. What's important to note is that in 2007 and 2012, when we had huge spikes because of lack of interest, nobody put money into looking for the nickel or opening nickel mines. And this is the same situation we're in right now. Leading up to this December close of the nickel contracts, is that we haven't had any investment into the nickel sector, and you get in 2007, 2012, there was no electric car demand. Now there's a huge demand for nickel for electric cars, especially now. Like they changed the chemistry from 1 part nickel, 1 part cobalt, 1 part magnesium to 8 parts nickel, 1 part cobalt, 1 part magnesium. And the end result of these, they call them NCM batteries, is Elon says his NCM battery is good for 1 million miles. Another company called NIO in China is building a car using the NCM batteries. It's got 600-kilometer range. That's better than most cars. You don't get a 600-kilometer range on a Chevy Blazer or a Tacoma. Any big truck, it doesn't get, unless you got double fuel tanks, you're not going to get that distance. So let's lead into it. So Montoro Resources, International Montoro Resources, we trade on 3 different indexes. Primary index is a TSX Venture. Symbol is IMT. We also trade on the gray market in the States. The symbol there is IMTFF. And we trade in Frankfurt. Symbols there is 04T1. So what I've done is we've put a news release out. Unfortunately, we picked a day when the Dow dropped 450 points because our old pal there, El Presidente, and the presidents are having a big beef about Xi and Trump over the trade deal. And now Trump says, oh, well, we don't have to do the deal before December. We can, Anyways, we put this news out, and this is an opportunity because nobody responded to the news because the Dow dropped 450 points. So this is the news from Tuesday when the Dow crapped out, and nobody paid attention to anything. It was a bad day overall. And the Dow's up like 300 points. We've regained all that space. But here's a situation. I'm going to go through the news release here, and I share it with you right now. What I've done is I put it in a PowerPoint. And, we'll enjoy a few facts. I'll kibitz with you as we go through it. And let's start off here. Here we go. Now, I think I need to, and then, there we go. And then I take you guys down there. So it is. So the Pecors Anomaly, it's close to the town of Elliott Lake, Ontario. At one time, the uranium capital of the world. We're about 60 miles from Sudbury, at one time the nickel capital of the world. And what we have is we've been working on this project since 2007. And this is the update. We're going to the next page. Your disclaimer. Now, later on, I'm going to be putting this PowerPoint up. There will be hyperlinks. So you hit the gold on the news release, and you see this is. Anyways, let's start it off with a little bit of excitement. Push the button.
Nice.
Let's do that again. It's a bull market.
It's a bull market.
For base metals, just get ready. Yippee-ki-yay. Here's the news release read to you by my friend David Doughlin. And I'm not getting it. There you go. David's going to tell us the news release. and I'll kind of come in and cover it up, and let's see what Dave's got to say.
Thanks for joining us for another Stock Investor Daily News Update. I'm Dave Donnelly. Today we take a look at International Montoro Resources, Inc. Company announced the Pecors Anomaly overall dimensions are now 5.7 kilometers by 4.2 kilometers by 2.2 kilometers. That's double previous estimates. Further compilation of the Geotech ZTEM survey data defines two high probability massive sulphide targets, conductive and magnetic. Pecors Anomaly compilation expands the area of interest. Further to company news release of September 10, 2019, Mira Geosciences has completed the compilation of exploration data on the Pecors, Serpent River, nickel, copper, gold, platinum, Palladium Project into its GeoAnalyst 3D visualization and exploration platform. In the International Montoro Resources March 12, 2019 news release of the 3D geotech conversion data, the company got the top-down view of the Pecors Anomaly. In September 2019, through Geoscience Analyst, International Montoro Resources was able to view its Pecors project in a 3D interactive platform underground view. With the addition of the Geotech ZTEM MVI inversion magnetic survey derived data, the Pecors Anomaly overall dimensions are now 5.7 kilometers in length by 4.2 kilometers by 2.2 kilometers. It's double previous estimates. Gary Musil, President, CEO, and Director of International Montoro Resources, commented, quote, as the 3D graphic and accompanying 3D video indicates, we now have two distinct anomalous areas. Magnetic red, featuring a total magnetic intensity of 57,000 nanoteslas, and a conductive gold 33 ohms, unquote. For more information on the Pecors Anomaly's overall dimensions and International Montoro Resources, you can go to the company website at montororesources.com. If you like this video, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to this channel so you...
Okay. So here's a shot of here's a 3D shot of this is stuff that your viewers should be aware of. Nobody's seen this stuff. This is the tech. This is the stuff that only like the big dogs and Tech or Rio Tinto or BHP, they get to see a toy like this. So the first and foremost thing is you gotta have the goodies. And this, my friend, is the Pecors Anomaly. Let's watch it one more time. I like that. It gives me the giggles. What you're looking at here is the conductive portion. And I don't know how to stop that, but anyways, the conductive portion. We didn't have this data when we drilled the property in 2015. So we had, what you're going to see now is magnetic data from an airplane flyover VTEM survey. What you're looking at is a helicopter ZTEM survey. This stuff can literally see through rock. And so we took a shot at these spots there. And I'm going to show you here on the next thing. Here's a graphic from the VTEM survey that the plane flies over looking for magnetic anomalies. We find this massive magnetic anomaly. It's kilometers long. Just to give you a background, it's like 50, 60 miles to the east of us is Sudbury, and they have. I got a graphic I'll show you later, but there's about 14 mines there. And our magnetic intensity is equal to that of the whole Sudbury occurrence, which is like 14 mines. So it's just to get an idea. This is an exciting target. So we took the shots, and look at this. This is the 3D. This is taking the VTEM airplane survey and having the data inverted into a 3D model, and then we took our shots here. Now this, again, you're looking at the VTEM, and now we're going to flip over to the ZTEM. The ZTEM is the helicopter survey we flew late last year, and now we can see our 2015 holes. This one's a kilometer long, and you can see how painfully like we literally just came in between the side of it there. But we hit copper, nickel, platinum, palladium right at the bottom there at about 960 meters down. is like there's 3 feet in a meter. You get an idea. That's a kilometer deep hole. And so we went right by the top of it and just basically hit right there. On the conductive side, and then we drilled this second hole, and this is in 2015 again, 1,300 meter. It's 1.3 kilometers, folks. We drilled this hole, and you can see we completely missed the side of this massive anomaly. You know, there could be a mine right here in just that portion. So, but now with the ZTEM, we got the conductive. The ZTEM had 2 channels. The VTEM, the airplane one, only had the 1 channel looking for magnetic anomalies. The ZTEM helicopter survey has 2 channels. It looks for conductive and magnetic anomalies. Let me just touch on this because it gets a bit complicated, but just work with me. What we're looking for is massive sulphides. The massive sulphides are formed when the hot magma comes somehow, and something happen big, some cataclysm has to happen. You know, tectonics, rocks hitting from outer space. That's how the Sudbury occurrence was. That's how Sudbury was formed. A massive rock hit Sudbury, and the hot magma came up from the ground and left the deposit behind.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, no, it's and if you ever go to Sudbury, you stand there and you look at do a 360, you'll realize you're in a crater.
Wow.
So we know Sudbury was formed 1.8 million years ago. We know this resource. We work with the Ontario Geological Survey. That's the government of Ontario's Ministry of Mines and Ministry of Mines. Just to get a very important note, that mining in Ontario contributes $10 billion a year to our economy. All right, most of that, I must admit, the lion's share coming from Sudbury. It's super rich. The Crichton mine's been running for 109 years. They figure it's got 20, 30 years left. So when you make a discovery of massive sulfides, and again, this is what we're looking at here. So what the helicopter survey is looking for is magnetic and conductive anomalies. What those anomalies contain? Sulfides. And what's in the sulfides? The goodies: nickel, copper, platinum, palladium. That's what and gold, which is what we found on this hole here, right there. When we touched the top of it, we got a long way to go. So going into the sulfides, again, we're visiting this here again, and what I did in this graphic, I pulled it all together. 2015 drill program. So we found the sulfides, and we found the 3 kinds of sulfides that are associated with massive sulfide deposits. And this is a very short list. So I need your viewers to know that we're not looking at some rinky-dink score here. We're talking something they will write books about. It is, and I will go into it later on, but we found the sulfides, and inside the sulfides, instead of just being, just sulfur and some rock, no. What happens is the magma comes up, it interacts, and what has to happen is there has to be sulfur in the area where the magma comes up. When earthquake, rocks hitting from outer space, plutonics, volcanics, something has triggered the hot magma near our core to come up to the surface. And it makes contact with sulfur, and then it precipitates. It's the best word I could use, precipitates. So the magma hits the sulfur and forms sulfides. And what kind of sulfides are we looking for? Sulfides that contain nickel, copper, platinum, palladium, and gold. And we found those in 2015. Here's the hole we drilled here. And right there at almost the bottom of the hole at 917 to 922 meters, we hit 3 meters. TPM means total precious metals, so that we bound the gold, the platinum, and the palladium into one there. Over here on the other hole, we skimmed the side of this, which is the conductive anomaly. So, which is really cool, because now looking back at it using this 3D data, we can see, geez, you know what? We didn't miss on that second hole. We hit the conductive anomaly. So then we found out that both the magnetic portion, because sulfides can be magnetic and sulfides can be conductive. And so we hit the edge of the conductive anomaly, because if you look at that hole, it's 1,300 meters, 1.3 kilometers. Geez, it's a long walk. Forget about a big drill hole. So we just touched the side of it there. And you know, and I'm just going over here because we're going into it later. We had a gentleman. He's a giant. He's a giant in Canadian geology. Everett Makla. Um, he was a guy that there was four people who sat on a board to make a decision when they made the Voisey Bay discovery. And let's just tell you, viewers, in Canadian mining history, the biggest thing that's happened in 50 years was the discovery of massive sulphides, i.e., nickel, copper, platinum, etc., up in Labrador. And that mine, was a company called Diamond Fields, discovered that, made a discovery there. And inside 18 months to 2 years, there was a bidding war for it because it's just that rich. I mean, it was bought for $4 billion in 1998 and 1999. That's big money.
Oh yeah, of
big
course.
Money now.
Yeah, it's still
So,
big money.
It's big money now. So going on to it, and we're back again. See the conductive portion, right about, we figure here, we touch, this is the surface of it, but it bleeds out, and I'll show you later on. So going along to, again, key element, sulfides. So how are you going to have sulfides? You got to have sulfur there. When the magma contacts the sulfur, that's when the goodies get precipitated out and left behind. And this is from the Ontario Geological Survey, Geochem survey over our property, and there's a massive amount of sulfur there. It's over 1% in the lake and river sediments. That's you know, if it was gold, we'd be laughing and scratching, but it's still, but if you're looking for something, this is, you know, to be fair, to be truthful and fair, that this is basically, you know, bigger than any gold discovery you're going to find, because there's gold in this deposit. It's the key word. It's massive sulfides, and there's very few situations that have been found around the world. Voisey Bay, Sudbury, Norilsk in Russia. That guy's the guy that owns the Norilsk deposit in Russia. Is the richest guy in Russia.
Wow.
Well, it's the Norilsk deposit. It's the deposit, the discovery I think they found it in 1929. It's stupid rich. They've been mining it since 1929. Ours is on scale. Now we're going to jump over here and getting out of, I don't want to go on too long. So one of the things which is nice is the company that flew our ZTEM survey, Geotech, Geotech geophysical surveys, the helicopter survey, coincidentally flew Voisey Bay.
Oh wow.
And so now we asked them to ask their pals at Valley, would they please share the data? And a day later we got the answer was no. But what has come about is people are looking for massive sulfide discoveries, and you know they're not on the surface anymore. They're buried sulfides like we have here. And so here we see a shot from the ZTEM survey giving us a look at where we got a target at. Now, this is the conductive portion of the anomaly. This is data we didn't have in 2015 when we drilled. We only had the magnetic data. Now we got the conductive data. And we can see that about 700 meters down, there's something that's consequential. It's 300 to 500 meters wide. You know, and it's at 700 meters. It has a resistivity score of 3 ohms. In ohms, in this regard, you're looking for a very low number. So the lower number, the better. Now, let's go over here, because side by each now, we got this data because Valley shared some of their data with, the scholastic types, people who write papers about geology, geophysics. They shared their data with them. And now we can go side by each right here. This is the same company, the same data set, and there is a significant comparison here. This one here is Voisey Bay, and this is the Eastern Deeps. Presently, they are spending $2 billion Canadian to there's 3 deposits there at Voisey Bay, the Reed Brook, which they mined out, and they're coming to the end of that. The other 2 deposits are the Ovoid and the Eastern Deeps. And they're spending $1 billion on each of those deposits to sink a shaft down to the Ovoid and the Eastern Deeps. A $2 billion project. They're about 10% of the way there. So you can imagine, okay, so here's the scale here. This is Eastern Deeps. It's 40 meters across and runs for 800. It's a tube. It's 40 meters across, 40 meters tall, and it runs for 800 meters. Okay, here's ours. Ours is 300 to 500 meters across and tall. It runs for kilometers. Okay, you get a scope here. There are scores there's two different studies. One study found that, geophysical study found that it was 1 ohms. Another geophysical study indicated it was 5 ohms. Ours is 3 ohms. The lower number, the better. This is a big opportunity, folks. You're looking at something, quite frankly, bigger than Voisey Bay ever was and ever will be, right here on Pecors, Montoro's property near Elliott Lake. Again, here, just quickly go through this. Now we're looking at the Ovoid. The last graphic was the Geotech ZTEM survey of the Eastern Deeps, the two different shafts, 2 different mines are opening up now. Built $2 billion they're spending. So give me a perspective.
Wow.
The Ovoid's about 600 meters by 300 meters. Here it is, it's sort of ovoid. And its score, very impressive, 1 ohms. Well studied. And here you can see where the Eastern Deeps is and the Ovoid. So this is a $1 billion shaft being sunk into this and a $1 billion shaft being sunk into that. The Ovoid, again, 300 by 600 meters. Eastern Deeps, 400 meters across, 400 meters tall, a tube going for 800 meters. What you're looking at with us is something 10, 20, 30 times bigger. And we know the data that we got compares very favorably with the data that they got from Voisey Bay that we have. I'm pulling back all the information. This is my favorite graphic here, folks. Okay, we're underground. We're looking at the conductive. This area here is the conductive anomaly, and there's that graphic there. You see the one that we showed that we have this 300 to 500 meter wide at 700 meters. Well, here I put down, and this is in Geoscience Analyst. This is a new 3D data. We've taken all our data, surveys, drill holes, drill cores, the whole 9 yards, whole kit and caboodle, and it's in the software program. And another time next week, I'd like to come in here and just take you for a drive on this thing, because it's I can't share it other than from my computer to you guys. But here, let me just walk you through this. Rio Tinto, not a small mining company, they knew there was something there, and they poked all these holes, boop, 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 and they were looking for this, they knew something was there, and that was in the 70s. Here's our 2 holes. There's that one hole that we looked at here, the kilometer hole, and here's our big hole. Now, this hole's 1,300 meters, just like we show there, 1,300 meters. Here's after we drilled the holes, we put downhole probes in both holes. L'Hermitage did the first hole, and Crone Geophysics did the second hole, and they showed, boom, right there. Just exactly what the data said, that they figured about 70, maybe 270 meters, 200, 300 feet off of the hole, there was a massive conductive anomaly. Now we do the ZTEM survey, and we got a vision. We could visually see it. And so that's 700 meters. Right to the top is this 700 meters right there. Now, this is a slice, and now we're showing it to you in 3D. This thing's a monster. It's monstrous. And I can't think it's all I can share with you here because it tells a story. No. Here's the ZTEM data showing something that's way bigger than Voisey Bay, and now we're showing it to you in 3D with relationship for a drill hole, and the Crone Geophysics downhole probe indicated that there was something huge from here this way, and it's easy peasy. You know, if we move this hole over here, which is about a kilometer further away from that, our whole property is about 1,800 hectares. It's quite consequential. And I can tell you for sure that I went through a lot of this data, had to go into the Ontario Ministry of Mines claims, where mining claims are. And the guy that we acquired the property from, the old timer, I don't know how he did it, but he managed to put our claim groups right over top of all these goodies. It doesn't bleed onto anybody else's property. This massive thing here, and also the magnetic portion, which is the add-on from the previous data, that's all on our property, all under our property.
So can I ask you a question, Greg?
Yeah.
Kyle's asking, when investing in gold and silver and such, do you think having the physical metals is as more valuable than actually buying a gold mining stock or ETF?
I don't know much about the ETFs. I think that personally, I think that they've stolen money that could have come into the resource sector. That if you bought the stocks that are in the ETFs, especially the smaller companies that may have maybe a small portion of these ETFs, that money could have gone into exploration. So I'm not a big fan. It's a flip the coin sort of thing on these ETFs, but holding gold and silver it's an Armageddon scenario, right? So if something happens and all the electronic money transfer systems and the banks and everything else go kaputovich, at least you have something that you can trade with, something of value. So holding the actual gold and silver, which I hold some. And
how do you do that? Do you hold it with Kitco? Do you use a Kitco account and buy it that way, or do you actually physically put it in your TD Bank in a safety deposit box? How do you hold it?
We're gonna get confusing here, but I told you about this Norilsk, right? And the richest man in Russia.
Yeah.
Yesterday he announced he's having token coins. So these are security tokens. The guy's got his mine produces the most platinum in the world, the Norilsk mine, and you can buy tokens from him now, and he's going to do other metals as well.
Interesting.
So it's not like the Bitcoin where there was nothing behind it, just a whole bunch of it's like, oh yeah, it's going to change the system, yada yada. But no, it doesn't have any basis behind it. It didn't have any security. You're just issuing these things on some hypothetical thing that someone's annoying go into it.
It didn't have any equity to back it.
There was nothing there. A bank has equity, and they can borrow money from other banks and yada yada yada. But so, anyways, that's happening now. One might look into it. The Swiss he's really done a hell of a job. Norilsk security tokens. He's starting off palladium. Of course, he has the biggest palladium mine right now. So
Palladium has been really hot in 2019.
Nickel's up 40 is a huge winner for the, we're doing pretty good. The nickel was 480 back in December, got as high as $8. It's about 670, 608, 610 now. But again, it's a lineup just like it was at the end of 2007, folks. When this contract closes out and all those short traders on the LME get on side so they don't get hurt too bad, next quarter we're going to see a huge run on the nickel prices, but we're still up about 40% from last year.
That's great.
Palladium is about 45% up this year.
Yeah, so palladium 45, nickel 40. That's great. And gold's up. Gold's up 40%, right? 30%.
Yeah, gold's had a nice run.
Yeah.
Copper, my friend, is well. Anyways, I'm old, right? So like Robert Friedland discovered the Voisey Bay. He had a deal called Diamond Fields. We're going to talk about this. Might as well talk about it now.
Yeah.
But I want to answer your guys' question there. The biggest score you can get is the gold's only is a security situation. Just in case it all falls apart, and we have a zombie apocalypse. Well, somebody wants to hold paper. Trade me coin. Give me some currency that's like gold, silver, platinum. That you can feed your family with. But when the gold market moves, the multiple will be many times on holding the gold or holding a gold stock. Like a company makes a big gold discovery or goes to gold mine stocks, you can get many multiples, 10, 20 times on your money. So that's the thing. If gold moves up $10, $20, some of these stocks go up 2 or 3 times. So, there's a bigger multiple in holding the gold stocks. Now, moving forward, I want to touch on this next graphic here, folks. And this is interesting. When I talked about the first one, that we hit the magnetic anomaly. Now here's a look. All these bubbles, they're the Ontario Geological Survey's Geochem survey. All these lines is the lines that the helicopter flew for the ZTEM survey, which you're looking at now in 3D, the 3 ZTEM survey. Here's our second hole, that 1.3 kilometer hole. And you can just see right here how this is the main body of the conductive anomaly, and how this little sliver came out here, and right about there, we just touched the side of it. And we found 1 meter of nickel, copper, platinum, palladium, and gold. These are, what else did you want? These are the ones you want. Copper, my friends, copper is going to be huge. I'm going to touch on copper, but in this thing here, you can see that where Rio Tinto drilled, and this is our deep hole. And again, you can see that brown area and that light beige area, yellowish area. We just touched the side of that, and we got some pretty good numbers. But what's in here? This could be, it's world class. They're going to write books about this going on. So this shows that we hit the conductive anomaly. I showed you back in the first graphic in the 3D spinning thing where we hit the magnetic anomaly, and this is that area right here. And this little red thing here, that's the Crone Geophysics. It's a downhole probe. We hired Crone Geophysics. They dropped it down the 1,300 meter hole, and they look for conductive anomalies within 300 meters of the probe. And you can see this little, that's it pointing right at this. And we just touch the yellow portion. The goodies are in here, but we just got the outside edge of the conductive anomaly. So the good news is we found sulphides and gold and copper, nickel and platinum and gold, jeepers, the whole nine, all the ones you really want. And on both the conductive and magnetic side, keep it going because I don't want to keep you guys bored. The other sign of a massive sulphide, nickel, copper, platinum, gold deposit is the sulfides can be detected, conductive and magnetic. Yeah, we found those. But there is another survey, and this is done by the government of Canada. They did it in 68 and 96 again. It's a gravity survey. And in simple terms, you got a whole bunch of metal tied up in the sulfides. It literally affects the gravity. There's a massive ball of something. And we're looking for massive sulfides that contain nickel, copper, gold, platinum, palladium, yada yada. So here is some of the biggest situations in the world and their gravity surveys. The Sudbury Basin, 14 mines. Yeah, there's massive sulfides. There are sulfides, and the thing that's a little bit different from us and Sudbury, and a little bit different from Boise Bay and us, is that Boise Bay, that deposit is where the goodies are is in the conductive anomaly. They have a very weak magnetic anomaly. In Sudbury, it's the reverse. All the goodies are in the magnetic portion of all the sulfides are found in the magnetic portion. And so you got the three things you're looking for: conductive anomaly, magnetic anomaly, and gravity. Well, gravity really tells you like something really dense there. There would be a lot of resources, a lot of dense metal. Well, here's Sudbury. They have a score of 30, bigger number better here. Pecors is 22, which is fine. You got Norilsk at 25. There's a clue. Okay, Norilsk is the biggest nickel mine, yippee-ki-yay mine in the world. And they got a 25 and we got a 22. Boise Bay has a 3. We have a 22. Olympic Dam, one of the most famous mines in the world. They drilled this thing. They went through the biggest uranium rare earth deposit in the world. And underneath that was a huge iron, gold, and copper deposit. One of the richest mines in the world is the Olympic Dam in Australia. And they have a 17 and a 22. And what this is, it's measuring the density, the gravity. Basically, it's a physics thing. I'm going to go into the details of it, but to get a score of 22 in this group of mines, that tells you this. That three things: world-class conductive anomaly, world-class magnetic anomaly, world-class gravity anomaly, all pointing at Pecors. Here's the magnetic. This is the Ontario Geological Survey, their website. They've stitched together all the VTEM surveys, and you can see in the Sudbury area, the pinky the better, and you can see the comparison to the Pecors, which is us here. And the closest mine to us is the Tata mine. You can see the little pinky area there. And so, I mean, there's riches. You can see by the colors, color coding. So we've got a similar magnetic score and gravity score to Sudbury. We have a superior conductive score and magnetic score to Voisey Bay. It's it's like clues. If it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it looks like a duck, it's going to be a duck. We've got those things. We got the conductive, the magnetic, and the gravity. Bang! And we got drill core that proves there's sulphides, and we got found in those sulphides, we found the goodies: copper, nickel, platinum, palladium, and gold. Here's a shot of Sudbury. Again, this is all this. Most of these deposits are found in the magnetic sulfides. We got both. We got magnetic and conductive, and we found the gravity in both. Again, here's the situation. All the mines where we are. We're about excuse me, about 9, 10, what's about maybe 12 kilometers from Elliott Lake, and about 12 kilometers from the airport. Here's another shot of the area. We had going into Everett Makla. The guy he's a Canadian king of geologists. When Inco sat down, there was a big bidding war for Voisey Bay, and after Diamond Fields made the discovery, and there was 4 guys that sat down with Inco. Again, Mr. Makla was one on that key decision-making process to buy from Diamond Fields the Voisey Bay deposit for $4 billion Canadian. So you're looking at a picture of our recently departed billion-dollar geologist.
Wow.
And Everett was also a director of our company. And in honor of him, right here, we're going to be calling this lake Makla Lake.
Oh, that's really nice.
And we're looking to do what we got to do that, but all our documents from us, interior, like when we show that map, that's his lake. And so then going forward, another shot. If you read Everett's obituary, it says Valhalla, he's coming. So we called this deposit Miners Valhalla. Again, another shot there. More fun with charts. Again, kids, sports fans, stock enthusiasts. Here's a chart. It's the true stick if you want. Time tells. You could have bought this is Diamond Field stock before the massive discovery. They made the massive discovery of massive sulfides containing nickel, copper, platinum, yada yada, in Voisey Bay. Get a bottle you want. I traded the shit out of this thing and made a lot of money, and I left a lot of money on the table. I left about $3.2 million on the table on this money. Should have doubled and sold half. I would have had $3.2 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So I missed the first go around. This was a shell that Robert Friedland, friend of Steve Jobs. Have you ever heard of that guy? Anyways, he bought the shell. And
can I ask you a question, Greg? Can I ask you a question? One of the members is asking, can they buy raw materials from the company directly?
Oh, we don't have. We're explorers right now. We make a discovery. We'll be 2-3 years minimum from being a producing mine. But like I mentioned, the Nautilus guys, they're doing security tokens, so they got the platinum sitting somewhere.
Nice.
Or in this case, palladium sitting somewhere. And
so you can just buy coins from them.
Yeah, you buy security tokens.
Nice.
So yeah, and they're going to do well. They said palladium's the first one, but they got platinum, they got nickel, they got copper, and they're trying to cut into the LME business, which is a good thing too. But they're just straight up scoundrels
Wow.
there. In my opinion, they're hiding shit. They've got no nickel in the warehouse, and the nickel's traded at $6. You got an all-time low in the warehouse, and the price is low. It tells you someone's doing something, and it ain't kosher. So, they've done this a couple of times, and nickel shot like they did it back in 2000 into 2007. Nickel was like $5-6, and then bang, in the first contract, the January, February, March contract in 2008, it went to $24.
So if somebody wants some physical gold, what would you suggest is the best way to go and get it? Like, let's say someone doesn't want to buy stocks, but they want physical gold. Do you go to Kitco and buy it from Kitco?
The Kitco is all hooked up with that shift guy that did that thing, and you can buy it like you can actually buy it. It looks like a credit card. It looks like a credit card, and the little perforations on it. It's a sheet of gold.
Oh wow, really?
Right, and there's little perforations on it. It's, you got this. This is a gram, and
Wow.
I don't know how much one of those credit cards is, but you can buy a stack of them, and I think Kitco sells them.
Yeah, I looked into Kitco in the past, and the thing I liked about Kitco is they give you the option to like buy and trade metals, which is cool, like a stock almost. And then they also give you the ability to store it in like Canada, United States, Switzerland. You can physically store it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's stored, and that's basically what the Russian Norlist is up to too. And he's opening up the market. Like you go on your phone, you can trade Bitcoin like. Live, you got some you can sell live.
Yeah.
He's setting that same situation up for the Palladium.
Nice.
And shortly after it launches, which is going to be very in the next few weeks, he's going to add platinum, gold, and nickel and copper.
Wow.
So, this opens up a huge market because, like guys that want to store gold, they got tons. Okay.
Yeah, I bet.
They don't want anybody to know they got 2 tons of gold in their house.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like it becomes dangerous if people know you have gold.
Yeah, I know. So it's stored. So you pay a fee to have them stored, and it's one way to go. But if you figure there's going to be, and the U.S. dollar has been too strong, too long, it's a problem. Trump wants the dollar to go down. They want the yuan to come up, and that's what a lot of part of the trade war is. That he says, you're manipulating your renminbi yuan currency so it's cheaper for people to buy your goods, and our dollar's up here, your dollar's down there. You got to bring it like this. That's one of the things. But let me just finish the story here. So the gist of this is, folks, timing. We know that we're going to have a huge resource market. And the reasons being is same reasons that ran up to the last 2 run-ups on nickel. Everybody took a vacation from investing in the base metals, and nobody cared. And then the production dropped off as the reserves, the reserves dropped. Production dropped off, and why demand increases. Let's just put it this way: since 2007 to now, there's 1.3 billion more people on the planet. Okay, get more demand. There's demand, and you haven't increased the production. So we're going to get into a deficit situation, crisis mode, shortages. Already, guys. We're going off topic. Let's finish this. You could have bought this Diamond Fields for like 30 cents before our friend Friedland bought it. And then you can see this is what happened when they made the discovery of massive sulphides. And we've covered the ground here that what we're looking at.
10x. It went up 1,000%.
This at one point you could have had the stock at 30 cents. It got bought out at $156 a share. You do the math.
My goodness!
Get the calculator up for that one.
Jeez.
I made a lot of money on this move here.
Holy
one day
moly.
it was trading at $50. It split 2 for 1, closed at 55. You do the math. Okay?
Wow.
It split 2 for 1 and closed higher than before the split.
That's life-changing money.
I know. It could have been what it could have, should have. So we haven't got. It doesn't stop there. Okay, here's Garibaldi. Here's Garibaldi here in BC, up in the triangle, right? Get a ball all you want, 10 8 cents here down here.
Jeez.
Back in May
Jeez.
of 2018, you
Wow.
know, right? And they make the discovery. It goes to $5.
From 8 cents to $5.
Yeah, this is what a discovery of massive sulfides looks like on a chart. Okay,
It went to
here's the
$5 this year.
here's the discovery of massive sulfides for Diamond
Wow.
Fields. Here's the discovery of massive sulfides for Garibaldi. And what's going to happen with Montoro? We got the goods. Okay, this is Lundin, not a small company. 734 million shares issued and outstanding. They have a mine in Michigan. They went and they did a ZTEM survey, which is literally like looking through rock. And you've seen our data in 3D. And they drilled this thing, and they had a mine about 10 kilometers away, and they had this anomaly, and they drilled it, discovered massive sulfides. The stock was 320. It went to like 920 on that news, but there's 700 million shares out.
Wow.
That's what a massive sulfide discovery looks like.
Wow.
And this is Montoro's trading like 3.5, 4 cents.
So that's the thing. Let's say Montoro is at 3.5 cents. It's at a 52-week low. It's been as high as 8 cents.
Timing's everything.
So volume is very little. What's gonna happen with Montoro? I mean, you got all these great things happening. You guys are so close to discoveries.
I wouldn't go into it, but we got the goods, right? The graphics that I showed you.
But are you guys looking to get taken out? Like, is that what's gonna most likely happen?
Ideally, we want to drill the hole ourselves. That would be the goal.
But
then we make the discovery. We get this kind of bounce on our chart, on our stock, and all the big dogs start circling around.
Of course,
and making bids, right?
Totally.
I can disclose now, and I don't think it's fair to everybody that I was at the PDAC in March. I had the ZTEM data with me, and I'm just that kind of guy. I went and visited the majors, and 3 of the biggest ones want to talk to us.
Nice.
So that's it. So that's
very
going
nice.
to come in. So we're going to cover that next week at another news release because I can't talk about it right now.
So when you mention majors, you're talking about, I don't want you to say it, but you're talking about companies like, and I'm just going to put a couple of these, Barrick Gold, Kinross. Those are considered majors, correct?
Mostly for gold. Like we were talking, they're big in gold, but they're not the biggest mining companies.
Okay. All right. See, and this is why I like to speak with you because you're the expert when it comes to mining, not me. And this is why I love to have you on the show.
We're talking Rio Tinto, BHP, Teck, the higher Vale, Norlisk. Those are big mining companies.
Those are the biggest.
The value of the shares and multiply by how many shares outstanding. And right now, I would put that Norlisk and Vale would be way up there because nickel prices are strong, palladium prices are strong, and they produce. I haven't checked their prices, but Vale has had some bad years, back-to-back tailing dams breaks. They didn't even show up to the PDAC this year, and they're a sponsor.
Oh wow!
Because they had the tailings dam broke in Brazil there, killed a couple hundred people, and they just turtled.
Oh. Brutal.
But then their stock still roared back because they're monstrous. And you know how they make their money? They have massive sulfide deposits.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's at the end of the day, the markets are all about revenue, right? It's all about revenue growth. It's all about profitability.
The Crichton mine in Sudbury has been operating for 110 years. And
wow.
They did it, and they've hired Geotech to fly the ZTEM survey over the Crichton mine, and lo and behold, there was like another 20-30% more ore there than they thought they had.
Wow.
Okay, so the Crichton mine's going to go on forever. The Norlisk mine's been going since the 20s. It's going to keep going. It's like a massive sulfide deposit like we're looking for. It's like a magic piggy bank. You just keep pulling your hands up, and money keeps coming out. Okay. So these again, let's go through it. Massive sulfide nickel discovery there. Kaching. Garibaldi recently, massive sulfide discovery, $8 to $5. Kaching. This is a big dog. Lundin is not a small mining company. They made a massive sulfide discovery, and seven. You know, this is a dollar value move. I mean, geez, for 3.9 triple on their discovery of massive sulfides next to their Eagle mine in Michigan. And here's Montoro. You know, there you go. You know, we've been as high as over 7 cents a couple of times, and as high as 8 when we put the announcement out in March of our 3D data, and we're coming about sizing the thing. How big is this anomaly? And here we are now. And I think that's just what I wanted to go through today, because I think we've been on for long enough and I don't want to bore people, but you know, you got a situation. You got a situation. I don't know how to get us back. You told me how, and I didn't do it. But you have a situation.
You have to go. You have to go to end share. Remember?
You say, "Oh, stop share."
Stop share. Correct.
Oh,
there you go.
That button scared me because I thought we'd just disappear, folks. You got a situation where I know a lot of you hurting. I'm sorry to hear it. I tried to dissuade you because I know, but everybody's chug-a-lugging the cannabis Kool-Aid at the time. You know, nobody want to listen to it because it's going up, up, up. But now you may be facing a tax loss situation. You might have to bite the bullet. And what a swing trade. Take a hit on the take your lumps. You're woken up. The pot hangover is over, and you come to the realization that, you know, I need to get on the neck. I got to dig myself out of this, and I got to get a good score. And I'm telling you, the time is now. We're going to have a monstrous resource market next year. Copper, like Friedland, this is Robert Friedland. I'm going to tell you a funny story. For those that stayed, you're going to get the funny story. Okay, Robert Friedland and his brother, and this this real tech nerd named Steve Jobs formed a little hippie commune on Robert Friedland's uncle's apple farm. If you look at the first logo of Apple, you'll see a guy sitting under an apple tree. No coincidence here.
Interesting.
They formed themselves a little hippie commune that was like three girls to the one guy. It was real. They put themselves into quite the nirvana there.
Wow.
Robert, his brother, and Steve Jobs. They had it all going on down there on the apple farm.
Wow.
And till one day the federal authorities showed up, and they found something like 5 million hits of acid there.
Wow.
LSD, for those who are uninitiated.
Whew.
And Steve exits stage right to go find himself in India. And the brothers Friedland, they managed to go on unscathed. But, you know, and this is funny because Robert Friedland was just at LME week last week. That's the London Metals Exchange has a week where they, you know, have meetings and booze parties, yada, yada. And he says, in 2020, copper is going psychedelic. Wow.
I like it.
He's right. Because what's happened now is the grade has dropped dramatically from like 1.3% to 0.8%. That's the average grade. The demand has increased. This electric vehicle thing, it's a happening.
Oh, yeah. What do you think? What do you think about that?
I'm driving a Tesla. I bought the Model S. I didn't buy the brand new one. I waited 4 years, so it got depreciated, and I stepped in. What
Nice.
a move that was. Oh, this Model S I got is already there's Model S's like I got that's traveled over 1 million miles already.
Wow.
So it wasn't like they didn't make a lot of them that year, but you know what they did make was a very nice car.
What do you think? What do you think about the Cybertruck? What do you think about the Cybertruck?
Well, the Cybertruck, you know, he said it's going to be an homage to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And if you look at there's some of the.
It's cool.
If you look at Blade Runner, because I was a huge fan. I mean, I remember riding up in the rain here in Vancouver. Like it was like already out for 2 weeks, and it was around the block. I mean, people loved Vancouver was goo goo gaga for Blade Runner. Like amongst all the other places around the world, we for one reason somehow it was like our world because it's rainy.
Yeah, exactly.
And but you know that you can see the cop car. It looks just like that.
Yeah.
And, and I'd be damned if I haven't spoken to Elon like 20 years ago. But I think that's another story. And it's the aerodynamics of the wedge. There was a whole wedge thing going on there in the 70s. Lotus was doing it. It was in a James Bond movie. They had the Lotus Alam was wedge. You know, it went underwater. You know, TR8 was one of those ones. There was a whole, because of the aerodynamics of that is perfect. You know, it's not a good looking thing. It's a wedge, so it cuts and the air goes like that, and there's no resistance. You know.
Well, they're saying it goes 0 to 60 as fast as a Lamborghini.
Dude,
That's crazy. As a truck, they say that
the freaking thing is 800 horsepower.
Yeah, so for 40 grand,
I mean, that's supercar rate.
Yeah, for 40 grand, you're buying a supercar that's electric. It's not going to cost you. You're going to save a ton of money on your gas.
And I'm going to do the math. And
it's nuts.
I want to come back next week because I got to talk the whole spiel about what's going to happen here with nickel and copper prices.
Hey, you can come back anytime you want, man. You correctly predicted the crash of the cannabis sector. None of us wanted to listen, including me. That's why I'm wearing this hat. And we haven't had you on for so long. And while you haven't been on the show, resources have been going up and cannabis is going down. So let's not have such a big gap from when you're on the show. Like, we need to have you on the show consistently.
We're getting some traction now.
Yeah, we need to have you on the show consistently because I've been trying to explain to people that resources were going to come back. You were explaining to people that resources are going to come back, and they have. You did explain that cannabis was going to come down, and you explained why, and you made a good point because it's an oversupply issue, specifically in America.
Here today, gone to Oregon.
That's right.
Now we are right just this week. There's an oversupply of pot here now. Big surprise. But no, I wanted to go into it is just that, like, I haven't done the math, but first off, the Cybertruck's got the NCM, the 8-to-1-1 batteries in it. So, and then also, it's made out of stainless steel, which is 6 to 7% nickel. So I'm going to do some math on this and tell you how much nickel it takes to make one of these things. And I don't know where he's at, but I think he's already surpassed 300,000, which is
That's
like
right.
$1 billion in orders.
That's right. He's on track to break all the records ever, like in a year in sales. Like the way he's going, he's gonna just smash all the records. Like I think they were talking about like some of the most purchased vehicles last year was like 800,000 sales. He's already done like 300,000 sales in a few weeks.
I know.
Like he's going to smash all the records ever in the history of car sales.
I could have gone for a little bit more ugly because I like my trucks ugly, but
it looks like a tank. It looks like a tank, a silver bullet. Like it's crazy.
It's an homage to Blade Runner. It's an homage to the DeLorean. It doesn't have the gull-wing doors, but who needs that shit in a truck? No, I mean, I want one bad.
And you can connect your power tools to it. So it's like a contractor's dream. You've got this beautiful, trunk with lots of room for power tools. It's perfect.
Oh,
it's perfect.
I got to tell you, first off, I don't think, and I said text, Elon deleted my Twitter tweet to him. It says, you're ripping these people off. Because at the very best, I think it's the Raptor, I can't remember what, like the very best horsepower F-150, 350, whatever it is about 450. Okay, the truck that he pulled against had horsepower maybe about 289, 350 at the best, right? Okay, so how is that freaking fair, Elon? What you need to do is you want to go in a pull thing, make it on a flat thing, and have two Raptors or whatever the 150 with the most horsepower is pulling against one of those Cybers, and then you got to get close to 900 against 800, and we'll see who's got the traction.
No, I know, but Elon is just so smart.
It's like he could have ripped the freaking drivetrain out of that truck.
But he's so smart because what he did is he set himself up to win. He's genius. He set himself up to win.
No,
now Ford.
He wanted to take out the Ford.
No, I know, and he did. And
he takes up. He says like, why?
And he did. And guess this? Now Ford is challenging him on Twitter for a rematch.
Go ahead, but it's not fair. You guys don't realize it's simple horsepower. You got to have two trucks going up against the Tesla. two 150s up against a Tesla, and I don't even think that adds up to being fair because they're probably about 750 horsepower against 800 horsepower.
Yeah, and Elon said, he goes, yeah, you want to have another rematch? Let's go. He's fully confident.
You do that, and then you got it. Anyways, there's a guy, I forget, one of these maybe a YouTube guy or anyways, he's quite renowned in the truck sector. You know, he reviews trucks online, yada yada. And so now he says, now he's setting up. He wants to set up he says, let's not do that. Let's do a pole, and we're gonna go like over hills. So he's built a little hill here, a ramp. You got to go over. And then so the front tire is high centered, and then you're going to go over another ramp, and the rear and the other tire is high, and while you're pulling against the other truck, right? You got to go over these hills to show you the traction, you know. So he fills up the bed to the maximum load with sand, and he went over the first high center and bent the frame of the truck.
Oh,
he broke the truck. He
Oh.
brand freaking new. And Elon got on that like white on rice, and he says that's why we have pneumatic air pressure. Anyways, the truck is sitting on a air pressure thing. You know, it's not shock. So it's like if it's high centered here, it just pumps more air over here. So it's something that the old French car used to have. The Citroen used to have it. So you know, if it's pressure's over here, it would pump air over there to take the pressure off to equal it out. Anyways, the guy wanted to set up this thing, and he was really going after Elon, and he wanted to set up this thing, and he broke the frickin' truck. Said, yeah, you know, his truck couldn't handle it. Elon's truck couldn't handle it, because if it gets high-centered here, all it does is the air pressure pumps more air over there to that tire that's high-centered, and it equals up the load.
wow.
It's genius, you know. It's absolute genius.
He is a genius. And that's what, like, people always think you're nuts when you're a genius, right? Isn't that what the way it works? Everyone thinks you're crazy until you change the world. And he's literally changed the world. Like, you live in Vancouver, I live in Vancouver. You have a Tesla. There's Teslas everywhere. They're everywhere.
This Vancouver, BC is the #1 place for electric car sales in the world.
Yeah, and why? Why?
North America, sorry, I take it back. North America.
Why is that?
It's already past 50%, I think.
Greg, why is that?
Well, for one thing,
our gas prices are so high, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's like half the people out there are honestly maybe idiots. That's a statistic. Anyways, so the other half of the people might have a clue, right? And if you got the highest gas prices in North America, coupled with the third lowest electrical prices in North America, well, it's not too hard to decide what you got to do. We plug our car in the garage. It's charged all the time. We go to park someplace else with a supercharger. We park and the supercharger fills us up, and we just pay for parking. I mean, we're already paying for parking, and the car's charged up when we leave.
And okay, so can I ask you a question with this Tesla? Because I have a friend.
I've been inside a gas station in like a year.
That's the way to live, man. I need a Tesla.
I look driving to the gas station to stand in line to play the machine there, and go in there and stand in line with a bunch of people waiting to pay for their gas.
So if you plug in your car, how many kilometers do you get?
Oh yeah, you know.
300?
I don't know.
300? Because I know a friend that it gets
on the range. Oh, the range shoots up at sometimes 380, 400.
380, 400. So I have a friend that has like a small. It's not a Tesla, but it's a small electric car, like a really small one, and he gets 140 kilometers a day. That's it, but that's enough for him to drive from where he lives to downtown and back home. And that's all he cares about.
100 kilometers a day is, and actually it's closer to 60. Is the average driving of a car.
Well, check this out. So
people live in cities, right? You know, you don't drive any further.
This is what he came up with, and it made tons of sense to me. He goes, my car payment on this tiny little car. He's well off. He doesn't need a little car, but he's like, I just wanted a little car to get downtown. So he bought himself a little car. He goes, my car payment on the little car was $200 a month. He goes, I used to spend $600 a month because he had a truck driving. He goes, I'm saving $400 a month driving this electric vehicle, and it's paying for itself on my savings of the gas. Think about that. That's changing the world. I don't care what anyone says. That's changing the world.
I think we're, you know, he's paying like, I think of our BMW that we were leasing before. We were paying like close to $800, $900 a month, I guess. you know.
Yeah.
And then, it's hey, look, because it takes a while for the truths out there. It just takes a while for people to accept it as such, and that's the situation for Montoro. He was showing you the truth today, folks. You have to accept it as such, and when everybody else jumps in, you're already in the front seat. You already got shotgun. So again, you're gonna have to I'm not an investment advisor or financial advisor or whatnot. It's just common sense I can share with you. If you're sitting on some nasty losses on the pot stocks, things ain't gonna get better. So to say. And
don't say that.
There's going to be consolidations, and someone's going to buy
God.
this guy out. This guy buys out. There's going to be some pops, but shit. When I was working, 2 years ago, I was working on pot stocks. I did a quick box score, and there was 240 of them. I don't know how many pot stocks there are now, but at 240, it was overly promoted. Anybody that had any news on pot stocks, their stock took off. It was just like the dot-com era. And at the end of the dot-com era, we had a huge resource market. And that's what we're looking at now. And like I said, copper, Robert Friedland, the guy that discovered Boise Bay, copper's going psychedelic, man. You had pot stocks were if you ever watch Spaceballs, so so they take off in their spaceship, and the guy always says, well, go to ludicrous speed. Okay, and that's why Elon has ludicrous mode. And the next speed is plaid. That's faster than ludicrous.
Wow.
And Elon's new Roadster has plaid.
Wow.
I want to share with you, this is what, honestly, following this, like I'm on white on rice, is that he has hover mode. The freaking thing will float.
What?
And in behind, and just out of James Bond, he's got inside because a jet turbine is run by jet fuel, right? It spins that thing, the blade. That's how the force is produced.
Yeah.
Well, it don't have to have jet fuel to turn that turbine. You can have electricity.
Wow.
Anyways, he's got a turbine in there.
Wow.
And he's got he's going to have hover mode, which is going to just be off the hook. I don't think you can. I think you can hover. I don't think you can. I think you can hover, but you can't move forward because that would be unsafe.
Wow.
But behind. So when you hit plaid, okay. So now you're driving down the highway, and you're probably going over 100 miles an hour, and you hit the button that says plaid. Kid you not, just out of James Bond. The back license plate goes down, and there's a turbine behind the freaking plate, and then you're going to go plaid when the electric turbine winds up. You're going to be flying, literally.
Wow. You think that he'll be the first one to come up with flying cars? Probably, right?
Oh, Porsche, BMW, the whole 9 yards.
It's all coming.
I don't hear about Molnar anymore. He had one years ago.
It's coming. I'm telling you, Elon's going to do it. If there's anyone that's going to do it, it's going to be Elon, because I've been watching the Jetsons.
They promised that by in the 60s, they said by 2000 we'd all be driving electric cars. Yeah, not electric cars, but flying cars. Nobody thought about electric cars back then. But you're not going to have a flying car run on fuel. But okay, guys, on the 10th of December, today being
in 4 days.
6,
Yeah.
Right. History will be made.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Out in Richmond, just like Kitty Hawk and the Wright brothers and their first flight, the local, I think they're called Horizon or Harbor Air, has converted a beaver. It's an electric beaver. And it's a float plane. There's beavers and otters. Beavers are the smaller float planes.
Yeah.
Which, like how most of people get around for the rest of the country. Outside of here, you want to go, if you're in the north, you're flying by beavers everywhere, in the summertime.
Yeah.
Here, like there, it's the same plane. He's converted one, and he's going to have his inaugural flight on next Tuesday. And it will be electric aviation's Kitty Hawk moment.
Wow.
It's happening right here in Richmond at the airport.
Wow.
And it's, you're gonna get this. There's a bar there on the water. It's called the Flying Beaver.
Wow. Really? That's cool.
And there's a pub there. It's a good pub. and they're gonna it's gonna be world. I mean, like it's gonna make history. He's only gonna take a 15-minute flight, but now you got electric beavers. It's a
Wow.
beginning, and that's just another huge use for nickel and copper and all these metals that go into making these things go.
It's funny
And
because if you go back to our videos at the beginning of the year that we were doing, and we were talking about the resource sector coming up, and you were talking about the cannabis sector going down, and nobody wanted to believe it because at the time cannabis stock was going up and the resource sector was going down. We talked about Tesla. I remember it like it was yesterday, and you were talking about all the different benefits of mining and resource metals that will be utilized in the construction of these vehicles. And here we are at the end of 2019, and Elon has just launched his new Cybertruck. He's breaking all the records with sales. His cars are everywhere. So you were 100% correct.
yeah, it can't be right. Can't be right all the time. But
I know. I respect that, though. I like that because we are communities watching. I want people to realize that Greg correctly predicted the crash of the cannabis sector. You can go back to all of our earlier videos this year. He was very adamant about it, and I was kind of not wanting, and I didn't want to listen.
Nobody wanted to hear.
I know, and I didn't want to hear
How long
it.
does the truth got to be out there before everybody accepts it as fact? And the truth that's out there now is the Pecors Anomaly, International Montoro's Pecors Anomaly, is world class. I showed you the charts and what happens when a massive sulphide discovery. We got we were as big. We got the same data sets as some of the monsters.
So you guys are essentially as big as some of the monsters, and you're currently at 3.5 cents. No volume. So I mean,
don't
this.
Ask any questions. I won't tell any lies. It's going to be monstrous. 2019 is going to be our year. You could have bought Boise Bay at 30 cents. It went to 156.
Wow.
You could have bought Garibaldi a couple of years ago. All you wanted, 8 to 10 cents. It was not trading at all. They made the discovery, went to like $5.
I remember Garibaldi. I remember them being such a small company, and then to see them go to $5, I was like, what the?
Here's the breadcrumbs. Follow the breadcrumbs. Pick up some Montoro. It's not. Just don't have it. It's not the one that you have. It's like your primary investment. It's for that money that you lost, and you'll maybe want to make it back by taking a tax loss here, to putting some of that money into this situation. There's a lot of good mining stocks out there. All of the nickel stocks, FYI, are all up about 40-50%.
Wow.
From last year already, because of the nickel price went from 480 to 8, and it's trading about $6. Next month, nickel's going to go, and you want to be holding Montoro before the nickel price rockets next month, and everybody and their grandmother and their great aunt are going to be looking for a good nickel deal. We got that deal.
Nice.
We've been at it since 2007, struggling to move this project forward, getting surveys, drilling some holes, getting some more surveys, putting the data all into one platform so we can look at it and we can say, Jesus, look, we just hit that. We just hit that second hole. We hit the conductive anomaly, and the first hole with magnetic anomaly. Now we know exactly where to go to. There's a spot, and I call it the Big Lebowski. You'll see that next time around.
The Big Lebowski.
I like that. Big Lebowski. It's the big homage to the Big Lebowski. I'm a Judas Priest myself. It says it's certified. How to get there? Greg Shafansky, Judas Priest.
Wow.
I'm gonna homage the Big Lebowski.
Wow.
Just like Elon homaged Blade Runner.
That's fantastic.
So there's and if you look at me and our old friend Everett was a Viking, like the beard. So it's this one's for Everett, and we're gonna make the biggest discovery in Canada in decades. And
I love it.
All the buttons I showed you earlier, these are all tick, 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 tick. There is not one negative tick.
Okay, guys, are you listening to what Greg is saying? Greg is saying that they're about to be the biggest discovery that they've ever seen, or they've seen in Canada since some of the biggest discoveries. This is the opportunity that International Montoro Resources has right now at 3.5 cents. No volume, nobody's watching, nobody knows, and we're here at Rich TV Live.
We're here. Seize the day, caveat emptor. Or what do they say? Not caveat. Yeah, caveat emptor. Shag.
No,
something like that. Anyway, seize the day. Look a grift horse in the mouth. I'm giving it to you straight goods. there's USGS. If you go to the web, our news release, we've got lots of hot links on our website. The last news release, we got hyperlinks in there. The USGS report about massive sulfides, nickel, copper deposits. USGS, they got like a $2-3 billion budget. They're like monsters. So they're like the NASA for geology, okay? The United States Geological Survey. They wrote a report, and there's geophysical signatures. The geophysical signatures for a massive sulfide deposit, we check all those boxes already. So, why is stock's not a couple bucks? Because we've had a bad time here at this year-end. Que sera. It's an opportunity. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You're giving you the way to make some good money. Have a look at it. Don't put all your money in one basket. But definitely have a little of this one, so that later on you can laugh and scratch and say, "Hey, I had that one," like that.
I hear you.
He's the one you can brag about. And you get the early word here. I wanted to come back next week and touch base with you about the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it again next week. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's not have these long gaps. Like, I want to have you on our show consistently, man.
I don't got the, I've been working all these graphics, all this data, all these news releases. It's all coming from this little brain.
No, I know, but I mean,
it's not coming as quick as fast as I like it to.
But you're such a great resource, Greg, and our community is not very educated on mining and metals yet. So I think as just a resource to just like talk about the sector, I think we need to do this at least a couple times a month.
I'll come back next week.
Yeah. No, I want to do this consistently though. Let's make sure, because you made all those predictions at the beginning of the year, and then there was this big gap of when we had you on the show, because I know you've been busy, which is great. And now here we're at the end of the year, and you were right about all your predictions. So it would have been nice if we could have talked.
Folks, I've been in the business since '85. I see the trends, and then you can look at them. The internet lets you have all kinds of fun stuff. Like you can look at charts, you can look at the nickel markets, you can look at the copper markets. Copper's in a deficit right now. We're using more copper than is being mined. The grades dropped from like 1.2 to 0.8. That's bad. And you have to move more rock to get the same amount. Nickel is in a deficit, just got into a deficit. We're going to need by 2030 5 times more nickel than we use on an annual basis than we're using now. So it's a very short haul between, and so 5 times, that's just to deal with this electrification. Where right now, I think the nickel market's about anywhere between, some people say 12, maybe it's 15% of the world's nickel's going into these batteries. And the most of it goes into stainless steel. Well, the Cybertruck's got both problems. You got stainless steel. You got to have steel. You want to make stainless steel, you need nickel. Yeah, that's what it's big used for. Now, and there hasn't been a big nickel discovery since, unless I can see, Garibaldi found one, and before that was Boise Bay in the 90s.
I went to Sudbury. And I saw that big ass nickel, and I remember thinking to myself, like, what's so special about nickel? And here we are, and I remember doing that like maybe in my early 20s, and I look back now, and here I am in my 40s. And I'm sitting here speaking to someone talking about how they're about to discover a huge resource of nickel. And I just feel like it's coming full circle. I'm like, man, I guess nickel is important, and now here we are having Cybertrucks being created with nickel.
$10 billion of revenue a year from mining. The bulk of it coming from Sudbury. It's like I said, it's
crazy.
Like that Russian guy, the richest Russian there is, the guy that owns a nickel Orlisk. There's a hole you can put your hand into and just keep pulling money at it. And that's what it is. We're not looking for a small thing like rare earth deposit or gold deposit or silver deposit. No, they don't hold a candle to a massive sulfide nickel discovery.
Wow.
And then you got to look at the size of this thing. It's kilometers long. It's 5 kilometers long. It's 2 kilometers. It's 4 kilometers tall. It's 2 kilometers across. And I'm downsizing the numbers.
Wow.
This is bigger than what the size of Norilsk was. It's got all, like I said, USGS reports on a news release. Go to it. And fortunately, it's a 90-page yawn to read. That's what I'm going to work on for the next week, where we can go through the checklist.
Sure.
And if it quacks like a duck, smells like a duck, it looks like a duck. Guess what? It's probably a duck. And that's what Pecors is. It's got massive sulphides indicated drill results, a conductive anomaly, a magnetic anomaly, a gravity anomaly. The Ontario Geological Survey, a guy named Evans, he did the geochem survey, and he finished that in 2014, before we drilled in 2015. It's very prophetic. He says at 1,200 meters at Pecors Lake lies a Sudbury-like occurrence, but of higher intensity. Very prophetic.
That's intense.
This guy is the head geophysicist for the Ontario Geological Survey. He said that in his report.
Wow.
At 1,200 meters, and I showed you the graphic that said we hit the top of it 700 meters, and he's saying, and he's dead right, and he didn't see this data. This data is brand new. He's dead right.
It's right there. You guys are right there.
A Sudbury-like occurrence.
Wow, that's big.
We're talking.
It's a game changer. That's a game changer.
The Ontario Minister of Mines was in Sudbury here in the summertime, and she disclosed the facts. There's $1 trillion worth of wealth there between what's in the ground and what hasn't come up. It's $1 trillion number. You know, it's kicking out $10 billion of revenue a year.
Was there? Did somebody steal the big nickel once or something?
They moved it.
They moved it.
I don't know where they moved the damn thing.
They moved. That's what I heard. It's like it's gone.
Pissed me off because I wanted to go to have a look at it, and the guy says, "Oh no, we moved it. The highway moved, and we moved." Well, in Sudbury and sorry, I mixed it up with Timmins. But anyways, if the mine wants to move, then they move the town.
Holy moly!
What's more important? In Timmins, they're moving the park, the Shania Twain Park. It's gone.
Can I ask you a question? One of the members is asking, when do you want to drill the hole?
As soon as possible. We're working on things, and we need to raise some money, and don't want to raise it at these prices. So, if you got the room, pick up a little bit here at 4 cents. You can't kill yourself if it takes off like the other ones I showed you. And we have, like I said, the geophysical signatures that said one thing: we got the goods.
So what does it cost? Like, how much money would it cost for you to drill that hole?
I got a guy lined up. We were going to go in March, and we have drill holes approved for 4 more drill holes. Last in 2015, when we tried to drill in 2014, it took us 9 months to get the permits approved by the First Nations. There's 3 different groups, and we finally got the approval, and we sunk the 2 holes that we did. We flew in by helicopter. I have a guy lined up out of Quebec. We cannot. We're in Serpent River. Our property is the Serpent River Pecors Lake property. Serpent River, we've had the property since 2006. It's about 5 kilometers away is our uranium rare earth deposit. We got 14 million pounds of uranium and about 45 pounds of rare earth about 5 kilometers away.
Wow.
Then we flew this VTEM survey, and we found this magnetic anomaly, which no one knew was there. And that's when we centered our information. We were going after this because uranium, meh, rare earth, meh. Massive sulphides, ka-ching. Yeah. This is why you go after this, right? This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I'm lucky to have 2 goes at it. Once with Boise Bay, I made some good money in Boise Bay. I should say, I made some really good money on Garibaldi, and of course, Everett was our director. Everett was their geologist. So then I jumped right in. When Everett told me about what they got there, I just jumped in whole hog, and I made some money. But then it's going to compare it to, if you compare those 2, Garibaldi and Boise Bay, this one's bigger.
Wow. I love it.
It's Sudbury size. That's why Dreyer said it's a Sudbury-like occurrence, but of higher intensity. That's the guy's been the head geophysicist for the OGS for 35 years. This guy knows his shit.
Wow.
So he told us that, and that just got us going, So we drilled a couple holes. We made contact with this anomaly. We didn't go in the right place. We flew the ZTEM survey. We had the ZTEM survey turned into a 3D model so we can physically see where we got to go. We know exactly where to go now. So, in the drilling thing, so going back to the Serpent River band, it's the Serpent River. There's a road that goes right to the Serpent River. and we cannot forge the river when the river's running, but we can go over the river when it's frozen. And from last reported, the river is frozen. So we tried to get in there in March. We went from like 10 feet of snow to flooding in 2 weeks flat. So we missed our window of opportunity. So we're ready to roll. He says he's got a crew is ready to, and it's, you got to drive across the cat. It's going to pull all the equipment, the pipes and stuff like that. And the actual drill itself is on tracks. So we're going to go across the river when as it's frozen. It's about 3 kilometers from the crossing of the river where the drill site is. So, and we want to, last time we spent probably over $150,000 on helicopters, and it's a short flight. It's like 10 kilometers from the airport to the drill site.
Wow.
So, but that $150,000, if we would have had it, we could drill another hole. We would have hit this thing. The fact that we didn't hit it back in 2015 is just gold news for your investors. It's like, hey, they got this close. They found what they're looking for. They didn't find we know where the main body is. We know where the sweet spot is.
That's beautiful.
Now,
I love it.
So anyways, I don't want to babble on again. Talk way too much.
Yeah, let's get you back on Tuesday. Thank you so much, Greg. Have yourself a great weekend. Great to see you again. Always entertaining, always interesting, and always educational.
At these prices, don't put all your money into it, but you gotta own some.
Yeah.
If anything, for the bragging rights later on.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Between now and the end of the winter, we're gonna drill this thing. Come high water, but we need frozen water. But we're lining things up. We know exactly where to go, and we're gonna get her done. That's the plan. If we can get going this month, that's greatest. The best thing in the world was we make a discovery this month, and when in January nickel prices go way up, then we got the results that everybody wants to find. We want to be that one. We want to be that magic moment company.
I'm into it, man. Let's make this happen. I will be watching very carefully. So will our community. We'll be watching it on full alert, and let's get you back in on Tuesday. And we'll follow up and we'll talk about some of your new news. And hopefully we'll just...
IMT.B. Buy a little bit. Make sure to tell your friends. You know what? There's lots of room for a score here, folks. The more the merrier.
All right, Greg. Thank you so much, my friend. Have yourself a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Tuesday.
Radio.
Cheers.